Hi, it's Anna here. Thanks for tuning in. So today I want to do a specific video on the topic that truth is fragmented. I've mentioned that before in previous videos, that at this time on the planet, and this level of density that we're in, this level of spiritual retardation, for lack of a better word, where, you know, we've become so disconnected and so lost in many ways that there is this urge to fragment everything, to fragment concepts. And it's not so. One aspect is by design. You can't. I think there are different streams and different schools of thoughts that are important. And in that aspect, you need to understand that it's by design and it's your job to actually bring them together. So I want to give an example. For example, in Christianity, they don't talk about reincarnation, just to give a basic example. So you're going to need to bring that back from Eastern teachings. Even though technically, actually, if you study the Bible, you can see that reincarnation is actually there with all the genealogies, but I don't want to sidetrack. So in one aspect, you're going to have to understand that this is the reality of things, and it's your job on this path to know that and to not make one piece of the puzzle the whole. It's your job to make sure that you understand that in order to come to a full understanding of truth with a capital T, objective truth and reality, you're going to need to study from many different schools of thoughts so you can get to the essence and bring things together. Now, there's also something else though, where there is this urge working through people that I've noticed, where they feel the need to fragment things that really shouldn't be fragmented, to the point where concepts lose their entire meaning, or even words lose their entire meaning, where words have been completely changed to mean something else, and things become homogenized when they really shouldn't, because it's like an oversimplification of things where you lose so much of the nuance and the essence and the character of things. You lose the life, the living wisdom behind things. And so it's actually very important on this path to make sure that you truly move forward and progress and be empowered, that you understand that this is a reality. And you're going to need to know that when you're observing and researching and gathering knowledge for yourself. But you're also going to have to fight that urge within you if it comes, to try to come up with new concepts and new words or redefinition of things when they really shouldn't be there. Because we can't be responsible for adding more noise and more confusion to the market, right? Like, we need to actually be a solution. We need to bring more clarity and bring things together. We need to weave the dots into a coherent picture for ourselves and for others. And so we need to realize that we don't need to come up with a new concept or redefine some things. I mean, sometimes it might be justified, but a lot of the times it isn't. And amazing initiates have come before us to actually bring a lot of really amazing teachings and concepts. A great example of that is Rudolf Steiner. Another example is David Hawkins. I've used the map of consciousness many times on this channel. So you can use what's already there, because it helps people find coherence. It helps drive people to those teachings so they can learn for themselves. And it helps not add more confusion. So essentially, what we're trying to do is actually to bring more coherence and clarity. And, when things are divided and compartmentalized like this, you end up with fragments, with bits and pieces that really lose all meaning. And it's just a mess. It's all confusion everywhere. And you need to become skilled at getting to the essence of things, getting to what's behind it and bring them together. There's also a lot of polarization that, out there on social media. The gender war is a great example, or it's, men versus women. Like, it's all so pointless to me, because things aren't that black and white. It's never this or that. It's very often this and that. And like I said, getting to the essence behind the words and actions of people. There are plenty of shady characters across all races, all genders, all political spectrum. Like, to actually divide and fragment things like that makes no sense. Another example, from a personal perspective, I really feel that psychology should never be separated from spirituality. I think at one point they're going to come back together, but you can't truly help someone psychologically without the understanding that we are a soul and a spirit in a body. You lose um, so much power to heal people when you fragment things like that. And what happens as well is that when things are so fragmented, you end up with people who are completely confused, who basically become stunted in their healing, in their growth and evolution. And also, you end up with the false notion that things are complicated. It makes you think that things are so much more complicated than they actually are, because it's all fragmented. So you're thinking, oh my God, like, there's all this stuff, when actually there's a core essence behind things. And the core of it is that it's actually very simple. This path is so difficult, but if you focus on the true teachings, it's actually simple. And I've done another video on this, saying that, the simplicity is key. And this fragmentation ends up being a dismemberment, a multiplication of endless details. So you end up actually wasting a lot of time on pointless stuff, actually. So, it is what it is, obviously. And it's going to be your job to make sure that you are aware of this, so you can be empowered on this path, not only to never make one piece of the puzzle the whole, um, but also to train yourself to go beyond things, so you can get to the root and the essence of things. Apply yourself to actually go towards true teachings that have backing behind it, that are not dead, because that's what happens with all these fragments, is that they become dead. You want to get to the core and the living wisdom of things. And finally, to fight that urge, if that's something that's happening within you, um, and question that urge, question where it's coming from, because we don't need more things. We need actually synthesization of things. We need to actually synthesize and bring them together to form a whole and a coherent message, so that people can truly heal, and make progress, instead of being stuck and stunted, or give up because they think it's just too much, and there's just too much to do and too much to learn and all that stuff. So that's what I wanted to address specifically in a video today, and I hope that's helpful, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.